Everyone is searching. I don't care who the person is. I'm sure you've encountered it, either for yourself or for someone else. Everyone is searching. And we're all searching for the same thing. That's the irony to it. We all desire the same thing, and yet we all kind of get confused over what it really is. And so, as I said when I introduced this series back 5 weeks ago, it was St. Augustine who kind of made it clear. He was the one that kind of made the point when he said, "My heart is restless, my soul is restless until it rests with thee, my God." We're all searching for God. We're all searching that God will come and basically fill our souls with his grace, that he'll come and help us, and I'll just come right out and say it, he'll help us experience peace. You know, it's so interesting how often I talk to people, and sometimes even while I'm talking to them, I start getting anxious just listening to them, because their lives are just so chaotic, so hectic, so over the top. And I can see that they are searching, and that they want something, and they want to change, and they want to see something happen, and yet they kind of get bogged down, and they just keep ending up in that same cycle over and over and over again. And I think it's very prevalent more today than ever, because it seems to me that so many people have walked away from Jesus Christ. A huge number of people have walked away from Jesus Christ. And I think that has an impact on us who are still seeking, still searching, still trying to be here, still trying to be present, because now there's less and less support for us in our society, in our neighborhoods, and many times in our own homes. So many people have just walked away from Christ. One of the things that we see is that sin is multiplying. Sin is multiplying. I can pick up any newspaper, you can see it, it's clear. You can watch any news program, you can see it, it's clear. People are doing things and saying things and acting in certain ways that are just contrary to the will of God, that are just damaging. And make no mistake, every sin damages a relationship. Every sin damages a relationship. If what Jesus tells us, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself, if that's the great commandment, then every sin is a sin against love. And when I love you and sin against you, I've damaged the love. And that damage is what we're seeing more and more of, I think, in a lot of relationships, especially within families. There's a lot of damage going on, especially within our neighborhoods. There's a lot of damage going on. And nobody seems to want to engage in damage control. It's kind of interesting. That's our role. We're searching, they're searching, and our search is kind of leading us to a conflict. Because they're searching, thinking this will do it. If you've ever met that person, you know, just one more thing. If I get just one more thing, one more car, one more big house, one more $100, and they just keep going, and every time they get it, they're still not satisfied. I'm going to give you a little secret. When I got Jesus, I was satisfied. It's true, right? I mean, when you think about your own lives, it's Jesus who will satisfy us. But Jesus also came for a purpose. We know that, and we know it very clearly. And I think one of the things that we make the mistake, and every one of us here, we make the mistake of thinking that, like, say, today's gospel. There's Jesus who encounters this leper. And the leper just wants to be made clean. Now, I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think you even have to ask the guy, what do you want? I want to be clean. That miracle is what it's all about. If only I could just see a miracle like that. If only I could meet someone cured of leprosy. If only I could meet someone that used to be in a wheelchair that is no longer. If only I could, and fill in the blank. But it's not about the miracles. I hope you realize that. There are plenty of other miracles that happen. It's not about these physical miracles, because Jesus can heal a body, but the body will eventually fail anyhow. It's about the soul. It's about the soul. And you ever wonder why, like, we're still in chapter 1 of Mark's Gospel. We haven't even left chapter 1 of Mark's Gospel. This healing occurs. You ever wonder why Jesus says, don't make a big thing about it? You ever wonder that? They call it the messianic secret. He doesn't want everybody to know. He wants these things to be kept secret. I used to pray about this a lot because I kind of wondered, Jesus, what are you up to? Why? I mean, if I were healed of some major thing, if I had been in a wheelchair and now I'm walking, or if I had been blind and now I can see, I want to tell everybody, and I want to tell everybody it was Jesus who did it to me, which is what he went and did anyhow, even though he was told not to. Jesus is doing this because the miracle is not as important as the message. Sit with that for a second. What is the message that we call the good news? Jesus wants the message to be more important than the miracle. The miracles are important, don't get me wrong, and they certainly draw attention to Jesus, don't get me wrong. But so far in chapter 1 of Mark, Jesus has been going out of his way to proclaim a particular message. The very first words Jesus speaks in the Gospel of Mark, if you're ever on Jeopardy and you need to know the answer, the very first words are, repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He just gave you the message. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Stop sin. Stop sinning. Change your lives. Prepare your hearts. Prepare your souls to enter into the kingdom, because Jesus has finally ushered in an era in which sin can be eliminated. Sin can be forgiven. Sin can be changed through his grace, going from culpable to free. We all are searching. And I think a lot of times we don't recognize it. We want to be free. We want to be free to live as the children of God. We want to be free. But the world has been preaching a freedom that's such a lie. It's called the freedom of indifference. Freedom of indifference, very quick, because this is a very complicated thing. I don't want to bore you with a lot of long theology. Freedom of indifference is like when two things are placed in front of me and I'm the arbiter as to which one I want. So this is good, this is bad, but I'm going to say I want to do this anyhow because I'm free to do that. And the church has never, ever said that. We're created for a freedom of excellence. You were created to be excellent, to be the best, to be good, to be wholesome, to be loving, to be caring. And the freedom that we have is to do the good, to choose the good. So when two things are in front of me, I don't say which is good and which is bad. The good has been established by God, and I choose that. And when I choose that, I'm totally free. I've met too many people who are shackled by sin. They are bound by sin. They are anxious. They are upset. They're always worried. Because they've misused the freedom that was given to them. Freedom for excellence, when you misuse the freedom, we call that sin. When you've done something that hurts, or something that breaks, or something that you fill in the blank, that is sin. And it's sin that causes anxiety, causes stress. A long time ago, I was kind of wrestling with this a little bit, and it was interesting. My spiritual director gave me something to do, which I thought it was kind of silly when he said it to me, but I'm really glad he did it. He asked me to take the prayer that we say between the Our Father and the doxology and pray over it. And just keep praying over it and keep praying over it. Deliver us, Lord, from every evil. Grant us peace in our day. Ooh, grant us peace in our day. And I started to hang on that for a second. Well, I want peace. Why do I always feel so anxious? Keep us free from sin, and thus protect us from all. It used to be the word anxiety, it's now distress. So I went and I actually prayed it in the Latin because I wanted to see. The word in Latin is perturbance. Save us from all perturbances. Let me not be perturbed. And I realized I was perturbed. My soul was restless. I was all stirred up. And I was searching not for perturbance, I wanted peace. And how do we get peace? Free us from sin. Free me from my sinful ways. Help me to break the bonds that shackle me. Help me to be liberated. That's the message. I want to be free to live as a child of God. And the only way I can do that is to shed the sin, to turn away from the sin, to truly be a child of God. Now, you know as well as I do, when someone hurts you or you hurt someone, right away something clicks inside of you and you know something's wrong and you get anxious about it. But think of all the times that you've been caring, when you've helped somebody, when you've done a good deed. You know, like I'll even say to kids sometimes when they come into confession, and I'll say, you know, all right, well, when you did that and mom was upset, what about that time when you went and cleared the table and put the dishes in the sink? Oh, mom was so happy. I said, how did you feel? I felt good. I felt right. That's the message. That's why Jesus wants us to focus on that. My body has its aches and its pains, and it's going to keep getting more aches and pains as I get older. It's going to keep on changing. It's going to keep failing. But the one thing I've got for all eternity is my soul. And when this body is one day, God willing, in heaven glorified, then it'll be perfect. But now it's not about the physical, it's about the spiritual. Everybody's searching. We're all searching for the same thing. Is there anybody sitting here right now that doesn't want to experience peace, true peace? The peace of Jesus Christ? The peace that I'm going to say only comes from Him? We're not the source of peace. He is. But it's only when we come to Him. It's only when we embrace Him. When we surrender to Him, to His mercy, to His love, to His grace. And that's why I'm so ecstatic that the church figured out that we needed a thing called confession. I love going to confession. I go all the time. I love going to confession because I walk out of that confessional, and every time I walk out of that confessional, it's like I'm on the right path. I know I've fallen, but I know I'm on the right path because I can turn away from that sin now. Here's one of the things that I'd like to throw out now, and I'm just going to be very blunt about it. Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. We're going to start Lent. It's not Valentine's Day. So I don't want to see heart-shaped ashes on your forehead. I'm not going to be in a restaurant, but I don't want to be able to walk into a restaurant and see a person with a big cross on their head eating a big lavish meal with their loved one. How serious are we about coming to Jesus Christ? And I say this to any Christian. Ash Wednesday trumps the secular holiday of Valentine's Day because the secular holiday is very different than the St. Valentine that I know. How serious are we about our Christianity? Lent is such a precious gift. In Lent, if we truly live the Lenten promises we make, in Lent, we'll find freedom. Through our sacrifices, through our penances, through our fasting, through our prayer, through our almsgiving, we actually experience freedom. We're unburdening ourselves of the sin so that we can live in the freedom of the children of God. Chastising ourselves, if you will, making ourselves pure. So what's going to be your Lenten journey this year? What's going to be your Lenten penance this year? So many people, you know, it's like Mardi Gras, and they're living it up, and they're eating all this food. Maybe I'll give up chocolate this year. Well, do you eat a lot of chocolate? Well, no, it's going to be easy to give up. What serious thing are you going to do? What thing are you going to do this Lent that's going to be uncomfortable? I say nowadays, one of the best things to do, give up technology. Except for work or things like that, obviously. If give up the cell phone for a couple hours a day. Turn it off, put it in a drawer. See how you do. Turn off the computer for a little while. That's a penance that I know for some people nowadays would be huge. Something that makes you a little uncomfortable. I guarantee this, anytime I've ever did fasting, it's hard in the beginning. It gets easier as time goes by. So maybe, I decide I'm not going to eat a meal, like on Ash Wednesday, we're supposed to be fasting, and I'm going to feel a little uncomfortable for a little, but as the day goes on, I feel stronger and I feel better. It doesn't react the same way. It would be the same thing with whatever you're going to do for Lent. Pick something that's going to be a little bit of a trial, that's going to be difficult, that's going to prove to you that you're stronger than your own passions. Fasting is a good thing. Prayer is a good thing. Make a commitment to pray this Lent, especially if you can go to daily Mass, try to do it. If you can't, maybe slip into a church every day for a little while, read the scriptures for the Mass, just pray over it, pray some of the different things, just getting out of this world that's giving us a mixed message and coming here where it's a straight, right message. Jesus wants us to focus on the message. And we can't do that if we're overwhelmed with the things of this world. And so Lent is a time to step out of the world and go into the desert with Him. We so need Jesus Christ today. We so desperately need Jesus Christ today. And we all want Him. There's not a person that I've ever met, even when they say they don't believe in God, I still can hear it in their voice, but they're searching. They're seeking. And one day, God willing, they will find and figure it out. That's where we come in. That's where we help. We lead and we guide by example. And so, yeah, everybody is searching. What's your Lent going to look like? We've decided this year, like we did last year, we're going to use the Monday holy hours for a specific purpose. We're going to be praying for peace, and we have a different title of peace each week that we're going to pray for. The healing that we all need, that healing of our soul, of our bodies, of our minds, that healing that we all need to experience Jesus Christ truly, of letting go of the anxieties and the worries, of the things that perturb us, of the sin. And so make a commitment maybe to come on Mondays from 7 to 8 and pray with us. Make that commitment each week to say, I want peace. I want Jesus Christ. I know I do, for my heart is restless until it rests with Christ. Make a commitment. Be sure in what you want to do. Don't stumble into Lent this year and have nothing on Ash Wednesday morning. Decide now what it's going to look like. Start making your plan now so that you can put it into practice on Wednesday. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, together, as brothers and sisters, as children of God, may we all ascend to the throne of God and come before Him, where we will experience true joy and true peace, God willing, one day for all eternity. Between now and then, we are brothers and sisters. Let's support one another. Let's care for one another. Let's hold one another up in our prayer and also in the way we treat one another. Show that love and respect to one another, and this world will change. God love you.